Hello and welcome to the Educator Effectiveness System Observer Training. I am your host, Andy Sullivan, and we'll be guiding you through a quick PowerPoint followed by access to a demonstration guide. So let's get started. So one of the first questions I've been asked with the new platform is why change, why now? With so much that has gone on in education the last 2 years, why make it change? So there's multiple reasons, and we'll hit on just a few. The first reason is that we had come to the end of our 7-year cycle with our third-party vendor, Bloom Board, who ran EdReflect for us. And it was time to either design a platform just for Arkansas educators or sign up for a new 7-year contract with them. So we chose to go down the route of designing something specifically for Arkansas that would be tailored to what we need and our outcomes. Second, a big change is that we needed the platform updated in a variety of ways to come in compliance with new rules or old rules that were passed actually in 2017. And the old platform was simply not able to do that. And so you'll see today as we go through the PowerPoint and also the presentation or the demonstration, how we were able to tailor specifically to what is in Arkansas tests and leads rules. And then also hopefully to make the experience focus on teaching and learning. At the end of the day, what we want the platform to be for you is a one-stop shop of collecting evidence, providing feedback over time, and that your focus is on teaching and learning. How can we grow as a profession in the state of Arkansas? And we hope that the platform is able to support you in doing that. With the new platform, we still have the 3 similar or the same roles in years past, plus 1 new role. On the left side, you see our organizational administrator role. That is the person at the district level who helps make sure that everything is correct as far as assignments, rubrics, and then they're able to see view district reports. In the bottom center is our observer role. That is the same. That is typically your building administrators who perform or conduct observations. It could also be your district level person who is observing your building level administrators. And then on the right, we have our learner role. That is the person being observed. And this person creates professional growth plans, views assignments, and then uploads artifacts. And those 3 roles have not changed. What we have added is in the top center, a school administrator role. This is the person at the school, typically going to be your building level principal, who now has access to rubrics to change learner rotations so that you are no longer reliant solely on the district org admin in order to do that. And we've given you some access to more reports, but also to have a little more control over what's occurring in your building. This slide simply is here to remind you that there is a difference between what you might call an observer versus an evaluator. We will use observers today a lot, but when it comes to evaluations, those on summatives, there are requirements. So I wanted to go over the requirements on the right-hand side. If you are in the Educator Effectiveness System and you are providing ratings based on observations or evidence, there are three parts that you must meet. So these are in rules. So the first is that if you are going to be an evaluator, you must be licensed by the State Board of Education as an administrator. So it is on your Arkansas educator license. Second, your school district has to designate you as the person responsible for evaluating teachers, building, or district leaders. And then finally, you must be employed by the educational entity. So that LEA, which means that, for example, I meet the first requirement. I am licensed as an administrator. And if your superintendent said, hey, Andy, I'd like for you to come evaluate, I would then meet two of those requirements. Where I would fall short is that I'm an employee of the state of Arkansas at the Department of Education. So I cannot come into your school district and evaluate your teachers or your administrators for you. I can't come in and observe them and help you provide feedback and next steps as a non-official evaluator. So this is the same for maybe a co-op employee, your recruitment and retention person, your teacher center coordinator, maybe the director. You want them to do classroom walkthroughs with you. That's perfectly fine. They can observe and help you grow as an observer, but what they will not be able to do is evaluate. Next, how do we log into the system? Part of the beauty of the new Educator Effectiveness Platform is that it is integrated with all other state systems. So eSchool, eFinance, our Teacher Access Center. Our goal is to be able to pull information for you, limiting the amount of time you have to spend on the details, once again, so that you can focus on teaching and learning. To log in, you have your TAC username and password. Maybe you know it better as your AppScan domain account, email address, and password. If you are sitting there and saying, Andy, I have no idea what that is, every school district has a designated person who oversees eSchool. So drop by and find out who that is and say, I need to know my username and password in order to be able to log in. So these next few slides talk about what has remained the same versus what has been updated in the system. So when it comes to rubrics, all 8 rubrics remain the same from the past year. So there's no need to learn a new rubric. If you have not learned the old rubrics, I certainly encourage you to find those and read those, specifically that effective category. And then you still have the ability to have dual roles as observers. What we did update is no longer does the org admin have to assign those rubrics. We will use the eSchool system and automatically assign those based on how that individual is coded in eSchool or eFinance. Next are professional growth plans. What stayed the same is that they are still required yearly. They are required to be collaborative between the teacher and an administrator. We kept the yellow sticky notes. The learner still tags components to their goals, and we have the ability to see active and completed goals. What we updated is that you will no longer see the requirement for beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year. Those are not in rules, and we want you as an observer to schedule observation or meetings or follow-ups on these goals whenever you want. We want them to be fluid. We want them to be focused on growth versus compliance. And so I'll show you how to schedule those a little bit later when we get into the demo account. You have unlimited characters for creating those goals. We've also added the feature of an inactive goal. It was prompted by the fact that you may have a learner who creates a goal, and then you all determine, hey, this isn't right for me right now. So instead of having to either delete it or mark it as complete, which is both of those may not be the right options, the learner can now make it inactive and come back to it later and go back and create the goal that's most required right now. We also have updated our prompts to align with professional learning community work. So you'll see different prompts for leads and tests. You'll also see that they are not both visible. So if you are under tests, you have a test rubric, you will only see the test questions. If you are under the leads rubric, you will only see the leads questions. Your answers automatically share. So as the learner types, you will see that they no longer have to share that with you. This was important to me because often with my teachers, I might have to either send them another email or walk down and say, hey, can you share, I need you to share your PGP with me. And they thought they had, but for whatever reason, it had not shared. So we have that feature to make life better for you. And then we'll visit with the comment feature when we see the demo. Here's an example of what that looks like, and where you can make comments, complete goals, where you can view their questions. You'll see their rubrics. On the left side, you see their active, complete, and inactive goals. Observations and evidence, what stayed the same? There are still 4 types of evidence. That has not changed. Your goal is to collect quality evidence, tag that evidence, rate that evidence if you choose, and then share. And you still have the opportunity or the ability to make observations public or private. What we updated is we updated our alignment with rules. So you will no longer see the words formal or informal observations. Those names or words are not in rules. So you will see the ability to create a direct observation, which means I can see the person I'm observing. We've also merged the quickfire and scripting option, updated all our pre and post questions so that they align with the appropriate rubric. And no longer is everyone answering the same pre and post questions, but instead they align specifically to the rubric that you are observing. And we have also decreased the number. So our learners have about half as many questions, but we worked with our constituency groups to make sure that those questions provide you as the observer and the learner insight into what you are observing and what they are teaching. So we really wanted to get away from answering a question for compliance and making sure that these questions are meaningful to whoever is answering them and to the person reading them, and also that they provide quality evidence that you can use to rate the lesson and the learner. We've also linked the ability or updated the ability to link to any calendar type. We'll look at that in a moment, and also to assign what you want. Here is an example of that, where in the past, depending on what you chose, you were given certain requirements. In the new system, you as the observer will be able to choose the type of activity you want to assign, and then also inside that activity, what do I want to see and do during this observation. The update also has really made a big, I think, a dramatic update around artifacts. So you're still able to upload, the learner is able to upload artifacts. We added a URL ability that we'll look at in a moment, and also these automatically share. So I think that you will find the artifact section really helpful. Very little changed on ratings and feedbacks. We saw the drop-down box so you can read the rubric. Your evidence is collected. You'll be able to see that in the system as well. And then at the end of the day, you click on a certain rating category and it gives that rating. What we updated really doesn't help you as the building administrator. It helps more our organizational administrators, is that they no longer have to open this for you at the end of the year. So once the learner is marked as a summative, they are a summative all year long unless you change that. And their end of the year status is automatically ready for you when you are ready to make that end of year rating. And we're getting close to the end of the PowerPoint. We'll look at this again in the demo, but something that was really important to us at the state and that you will see, I hope that you appreciate, is the ability to follow learners over time. In the state, as you know, we often have teachers and administrators who move from school to school or district to district. And with the old system, that was lost. There was no way to see when the last time they had received a summative rating. What was that rating? What rotation are they on? We had a situation this year where a school district had a new superintendent, building level principal, and the teacher was new to them. And the building where the teacher came from also had a new principal. So when that new district principal called their old building and said, "Hey, can you tell me what rotation they're on?" Unfortunately, no one knew, and the teacher wasn't sure. And so then the new administrator basically has to guess. And so we want to take that guesswork out going forward. So this won't help you necessarily this year, but over time, As the years go on, you, as the building level administrator, will be able to see everyone in your building when the last time they received a summative rating and also what that rating was. And our last slide before we look at the demo is video observations. This is the part of the platform that isn't going to be as, for lack of a better word, sophisticated. Last year, we only had 34 districts utilize our premium services. So not a lot of you out there. Those districts will see the biggest loss, because the new system does allow you to upload videos as an artifact. In our current system, you would simply watch the video while you are scripting as an observation. So you combine an artifact with an observation. In the old system with EdReflect, it was very sophisticated, where you were able to pause and tag, and it automatically linked the two and timestamped, and you can make comments. So it's not as sophisticated. Our programmers are fantastic, and they are working on improving not only the entire system, but this position, video observation specifically. So give us time, but we do have the ability, and it's free. So being able to watch a video and script will no longer cost you money. Also, getting access to the reports will no longer cost your district additional money, as they are integrated into the system. And finally, what you see here is the link to the demonstration account, but the username you will use and also the password. You may notice that when you copy and paste the username, it may add a few spaces at the end. So be sure to delete those spaces, otherwise the login will not work. So to do that, we are going to access the demo account. To log in, we will simply paste. And you'll notice when I pasted, there were those spaces. So I will want to delete that back and then type in, which I just did incorrectly. There we go, the password. So we are when we log in this person, you'll notice that it says school administrator here at the top. This is the toggle that will automatically upload all of the roles that you have access to. So for example, your assistant principal may not have access to school administrator. The teachers, the learners in your building will not have access to this, but you will see that our friend Joy here is the school administrator, which means she's most likely the principal. She is an observer, so she is going to collect evidence on her teachers, potentially an assistant principal or 2 or 3 or 4 if she has those. But she is also a learner to whoever evaluates her. And to toggle in between, you simply click on the appropriate tab, and it will log you and it will toggle you through. We're going to begin with the school administrator role that you may be having. What you're able to do is look at all of your roles. This is just like a dashboard statistics page. So you're able to see observations you've had for your assistant principal, teachers, whoever you might be conducting for. As the years go on, you'll see additional graphs based on the statistics that you have. You'll also be able to see your ratings for all learners by role, and eventually, as you conduct observations, you'll be able to see ratings by component. And this is really important for you as you make plans on, do I need a school-wide goal? Maybe I do around a certain component. Or I just noticed something within the last month. Oh, wow, we need to go back and visit this component. The goal is to give you access in real-time data. As always, this data is only as good as the input. So if you do not conduct observations and you do not conduct ratings, your graphs aren't going to be very good. So important that your input is where you want it to be. This is also where you would be able to see previous year ratings if they had that. You'll see in this column here, the rotations. I'll show you how to set those in just a moment. You'll see that the science of reading status is not set right now because it's not required to be set technically. This data will be pulled in October of 2023. So you can input this yourself, or you can wait for the state to upload it as part of the Cycle 2 report. So once again, this is a dashboard. But you're sitting there and going, Andy, I want to go ahead and input the science of reading. The school administrator also has this tab here, Observer Learner Assignments. This is where this year you will need to input some information. Okay? Because it is the first year of the new system, nothing is able to be integrated from the old system. The catch with when you stop paying a vendor is they don't give you access anymore. So for this year, this may be tedious for you in your building, but this is where you'll be able to see all of your teachers and what their role is. So you want to make sure that's correct. But this is also where you will place them on their rotation. So you want to make sure that this is correct because it will cycle through for next year. You won't have to do it next year. So if they're a novice year 1, then for 23-24, they'll become a novice year 2. If they're a formative year 2, they will rotate in 23-24 to a formative year 3, and then onto a summative year consequently. Remember that you can place someone on a summative year anytime you want. That is in rules. So maybe you have a novice year 3 and you decide, you know what, I need them to be on a summative this year. And you can do this at any time. You simply log into the system, place them as a summative, and now they are open for those end of year ratings. If you are ready to set their proficiency or awareness for science of reading, that's great. You're welcome to do that. This does not preclude the requirement to do that in Cycle 2 in 2023. But maybe you know this and you want to go ahead and do that for your self-awareness. That's great. This is also where you can assign observers to do that. You see all the observers in my building. If I want to have more than one, I can simply do that and assign, and you'll see that all 3 of these folks have access to this person. Some of your school districts may have 1 observer per learner, perfectly fine. Some of your school districts may want to give access to multiples as we did there. Completely up to you. The goal of this is to give you access if your districts want you to. This can also still be done as a district administrator role if they choose that. That is that tab. Now let's roll into and see what it looks like to be an observer. So when you log in and click on your observer toggle, you'll see that your options at the top have now changed and your screen looks different. So what you see right now is your day at a glance. So this is what I have going today, or Joy has going today for observations. You see who they are with, what they are. I have 3 post-observation, or I have 2 pre-observation conferences and 1 post-observation conference. Those are all hot links. So when I click on that, it takes me to the pre-observation or post-observation conference form. And same thing with the pre-observation. I also can view this a different way. So this is my day at a glance. I can also see by my school what I have coming up next, and also what I just finished. And of course, as well, are they on a summative, yes or no? I can also access that teacher by clicking on a specific teacher's name. And I can always go home. So the home key always takes you home. Another option I have is my calendar view. You will see here is I can view by month, week, or as a list. I can also search or filter, I guess is a better word, by what I have coming up. What artifacts have I requested? What direct observations do I have? I can also select by a particular role. Do I have any artifacts coming up for teachers? Here they are. Have I requested any artifacts from my assistant principal? Not for June. I can also see and filter by a specific learner. Do I have anything, any artifacts for Adriel? I do not. So maybe I want to do that. Up to you. You can utilize this if you want to, or you can obviously ignore it as well. I can take away the filters as well. To link a calendar, I simply click on action, and we'll use this to paste this link into whatever calendar form I would like. So I copy the calendar link. If you like Outlook or potential Google Mail, great. You can link those if you would like, completely optional. I'm tired of looking at my calendar view, so I want to go home again. I can do that. I've shown you how to look at your observation breakdowns using the calendar view, my day view, and both of these columns. You can also use observation breakdowns this way. Just another option for you if you find it handy. You can filter by activity type or role or both. You can also conduct a search and find something specific if you find this helpful. If you do not, completely ignore the observation breakdown. Next, I'd like to show you how to create an observation. So I can do this one at a time. I also have the bulk schedule. You'll see that it is not highlighted at the moment. It only highlights once I've selected more than one person. And then I can determine what do I want to bulk schedule, professional growth reviews, artifacts, whatever I might want to do. We'll look at that in a moment. But for right now, I only want to schedule for my friend Valentine. So here at the bottom, I have a post-observation conference today and an observation. That was yesterday. So let's go over here and click an action button and let's see what we can schedule. There are only 4 types of activities. We can conduct a direct observation, which means I am going in to see that learner. An indirect observation means I'm going into their classroom, or maybe I'm seeing something they've done, but they aren't present. An example of this might be that I decided to conduct classroom walkthroughs after school for classroom arrangement. The educator has gone home, but I can still go in and see how desks are arranged. I can sit in all those desks and determine, can I see a smart board, for example? If I want to do that, I would create an indirect observation. Maybe I want only an artifact or PGP review. And we're going to look at each of those in a moment. For right now, I want the direct observation. The first decision I get to make is, do I want this announced or not? They are always marked as announced. So the default setting is announced. If I want it kept private, I toggle to unannounced, and the teacher no longer knows I'm coming. I then decide, do I want, of these options, what do I want? Do I want them to answer pre-observation questions or not? I don't. I don't want to meet with them. I do want to observe on June 16th from 10 o'clock to 10:30. I am going to rate them. I don't want them to answer post-observation questions, but I do want to meet with them. Okay? I don't want to just simply give them a comment or use the feedback form that I have access to. And I'm going to meet up with them, with Valentine, on the 21st. And he likes to come up do this before school. So I'm going to meet with him before school. And I don't need any artifacts. When I do this, I click OK, and it saves. And Valentine only sees that he is going to have an observation, receive a rating, and then also have a post-observation conference. Once again, this is up to me. And this was really important to, honestly, to me personally, because in the old system, we had little boxes and some were colored and others were grayed out. And sometimes the teacher wasn't really sure what they were supposed to do, or maybe I didn't want to meet with them before the meeting or before the observation. I just wanted them to answer the pre-observation questions and then let me go observe. But so I didn't have that power, or I had to communicate with them in a different way. Hey, don't worry about the pre-conference. So now I have access. What we want to give you is power to do and collect evidence the way you want it, so that you can tailor this. This is also, once you're done with this, the other part you can do is there's the participants tab. So you see, Joy is automatically an observer, but I can also make Godfrey, who is also on the list, an observer with me. When I do this, Godfrey will get an invitation to all of this and have access to viewing those pre-observation questions. And when we observe, our observations will actually be next to each other. And I can toggle back and forth, and so can Godfrey read what I'm collecting evidence on, and I'll be able to see what Godfrey is collecting evidence on. And then you can also add additional collaborators if that was an option for you. For me in this demo, it is not. So lots to do. It's saving the activity, and I'm finished. So that is a direct observation. I go in, maybe now I want an indirect observation. Same thing. Indirect observations are typically without the teacher, so you're not going to use a lot of these. Most likely, you won't want to meet with them before, but you will conduct an observation. Maybe it's at 4:30. And I'm going to be busy for 30 minutes. This might be something that I want to bulk. If I'm going to walk through every classroom, for example, after school, or all of my 3rd and 4th grade teacher classes, this might be something that I want to bulk assign. Do I want to meet with them afterwards? Maybe not. I'm just going to observe their classroom arrangements and rate them. Once again, where I said this might be something that we want to bulk observe. Here are all of my 4th grade classrooms, and I want to bulk schedule an indirect observation. So I would unclick again. And all 4 of those individuals will have a rating, will get an observation from me at the time I suggested, and then also provide a rating. Okay. Once again, completely up to you if you like indirect observations, maybe you've never thought about them. It is an option for you. Next, let's look at artifacts. Honestly, one of my newest favorite features in the system. So I think artifacts have been maybe underused in the past. So what we wanted to give to you is the ability to assign what you want. So I've decided that for I'm actually for Aaron today. Now I'm assigning an artifact. Once again, you're going to want this announced because you want them to know you've assigned it. So I'm going to leave it as marked. I'm going to tell them when I want this artifact by. So for Aaron, I want an artifact by June 14th. And it is due at noon. And I don't even have to give him much time because it's just due. Oh, I lied to you. It does have to do it. There we go. So he gets 15 minutes. So he knows that it's going to be upcoming. My favorite part is it is now time for me to select a specific component that I want him to provide an artifact for. So I want him to provide me an artifact for designing student assessments and of him using that assessment. And then I decide, do I want to rate it? Yes or no? Do I want to provide feedback and next steps? Yes or no? That's up to me. What Aaron is now going to know is that by June 14th, he needs to develop or have an artifact where he has designed student assessments and that he's used it for instruction, or where he's used, not necessarily that assessment, but he is using assessment in instruction. So he may upload an assessment, and he may video himself, assessing student learning in a classroom. Maybe he uploads a lesson plan where he has designed specific questions throughout that lesson, and now he's highlighted it for you, and he's uploading that. Doesn't matter to me, but Aaron is the one who needs to determine what type of artifact he wants to use. So that's what I want from Aaron. I'm going to click OK. Oh, and I forgot to show you the favorite thing. My bad. I'll show you that in Learner in just a moment. So what Aaron now knows is, when I click on him, you can see that he has an artifact due. I can see that. Aaron also knows, because I'm not learning, skip that part. I was trying to show you for Aaron, but we'll look at Aaron as or a Valentine a little later as a learner. So we'll go back home again so I don't mess you up. So anyway, we now know that he has an artifact. You can see that he has not shared it yet. So once again, the best part about the system is that everything auto shares. It's not reliant on the teacher to remember anymore. So you can see that Aaron has an artifact due. Here are the two components. And when he uploads it, it will appear right here. Okay. This is where you would rate that component, and then where you can provide feedback and next steps for Aaron. And you can mark as complete once you've completed that as well. All right. So that is us when it comes to all four. Oh no, we haven't discussed a PGP review. So once again, earlier we stated where the old system made you do it certain times of the year. You felt compelled to. We want you to follow up on professional growth plans and growth as needed. So you're not locked into a certain time. Once again, you have all the options for you for a review. You can invite other people just as you could earlier. What you want to, as included in this review, is up to you. So that is there. And then the last part we need to look at is comment box. So this is something that is not new. This was a part of EdReflect as well. Unfortunately, in the old comments, no one knew if you made one. So as an administrator, I would either email them, have to go in and create an observation to provide feedback, or I'll walk down and talk to them. I had to script something or whatever it was. We wanted to create an option that was within the system that would track over time and that would get notified for. So you'll see here for Valentine, we have made comments. Joy has said, will you still be able to make the meeting this week? When Joy makes a comment, let's just say, remember your artifact is due tomorrow. When we log in a little bit for Valentine or Valentine, he will have a ping on his comment box. And then programmers are also working on the best way to notify them outside of the system. So whether that is that they receive a notification in their linked email that there's been a comment made, or if on their desktop in the platform system that there's some type of notification. So programmers are working on that, but the goal is that they're able to be notified and know that you made a comment. Why is this helpful to you? It timestamps. It keeps track in one location, back and forth between, conversations between you and the learner. And this is where you could actually conduct follow up on professional growth plans. I could ask which weight time strategy is working best for you. So maybe you conducted an observation and the teacher is just clicking off questions. And so one of your feedback was, hey, Let's talk about how we can give students time to think and process. And you discuss a couple of strategies, and now you're curious, which strategy is Valentine doing or utilizing? You can ask them, and Valentine will get this comment, and maybe he's going to say, honestly, haven't tried any of them yet. So then you can follow up with, well, I'm gonna come in 2 days, and I'll be observing. So I need you to choose one and let me know which one you're choosing, and follow up that way. So this just keeps you kind of maybe organized versus having to have something in Google Docs or in an email account. Optional, you never have to use the comment box. If it's not handy for you, if it makes your life worse, don't use it. But our goal was to be able to, for you to once again focus on teaching and learning. So once again, you can go home. And that is the system in a nutshell. So what we reviewed is how to find observations. You have 3 ways to do that. What's happening in your day. Here you see your next meetings and your last meetings. You can click on observation breakdowns. You may also view these in your calendar. And remember, you can link your calendar. You can provide feedback through your comment box. By clicking on the left, all of your learners will appear. And then to assign any type of evidence collection activity, you simply schedule exactly what you want and when you want. Finally, to wrap up, I am going to log out. And see, there's Valentine. I do want to show you what it looks like on Valentine's side. And what you'll notice is when Valentine logged in, he sees that he has a meeting today. And he has notification that there have been 2 comments made. And you see the 2 comments that we just made as the observer are there. So now Valentine knows I need to do something. I need to answer these questions. You will also see his goals and where they have 3 active goals, completed goals, inactive goals. What I want to show you is what Valentine has for him right now. So he's able to see past activities, but I specifically want to look at the artifact that we assigned him on June 10th. So Valentine knows that we've assigned 1F, designing student assessments. So now Valentine needs to look this up or upload an artifact. He has 2 ways to do that. So he's going to upload an artifact and he can drop a file here. So this is where he can drop a PDF, a video file, a Word document, a picture of his classroom. If it's a file on his computer, he simply drags and drops. What we, part of our feedback sessions, asked, could we also link Google Docs and maybe URLs? So your teacher utilizes Google Docs for lesson plans or for data, or maybe keeps up a website for parent involvement or parent engagement. We now have that option. So instead of dragging and dropping, your learner can use an external resource. So this is where they would link their Google Doc, for example, name it exactly what they want to name. I would be really, help your learners be strategic in what they name something. So this might be designing student assessment artifact 1. And the next time they upload maybe another designing student assessment 2. So that they would say, they can help them stay organized. And it also helps you stay organized over time as you may get a long list of artifacts ultimately that you're reviewing. So they have 2 examples. Once again, external resources, drag and drop. I hope that you find that really useful, because all of this is about collecting quality evidence. And the idea that you don't necessarily have to go in and observe to collect every piece of evidence. So how can you save time by being strategic with your learning, with your artifacts, maybe with your indirect observations, and so that you are going and observing maybe for fewer pieces, or being strategic for why you're walking into that classroom with those direct observations. Once again, on the website, you are going to be able to access this video, which you already know about. Also, the PowerPoint that I used, which looks, let's find it again. There it is. This is the PowerPoint that we had. The last slide contains is the link to the demo, plus the username to use, and also the password. We will have these for district administrators, our observers, and also learners. So be thinking strategically about how you help the learners in your building understand the platform. Maybe you want to assign them the video to watch. Maybe you want to watch it at back to school. We also have virtuals that are available all summer long on our website. So just be strategic in how you can help your learner also use this effectively as the school year comes along.